Hey, what's up, everybody? I'd like to welcome you to the Digital Academy. And in this video, I want to talk about this thing called the 753 code. What's a code? I think it's an interesting way to think of a code as a way to memorize a more complex and complicated philosophy in a way that's kind of easier to remember and focus on, especially in times of crisis. So it's very much a memory tool. All right, so let's go over the 753 code of the samurai. Okay, so number one, we start off with what are considered the seven virtues of the samurai warrior. Number one, rectitude. That means like a strength of character, integrity. All right, that you're a person that can be depended on, that you're a person of your word, that you walk your talk. Rectitude means like this, that you got a backbone of steel. Not a spaghetti. Number two, that you're a person of courage. All right, again, remember this is at the end. I'm going to have a link there if you bring your camera up to that QR code at the bottom where it says image link. You can get this picture, and it's an awesome background picture. And, once we've talked about this, I think there's a deep philosophy hidden in just this one image that so nicely captures samurai philosophy. Number three, benevolence, the opposite of evil. Right, and this is where this idea of Bushido comes into the Japanese arts, and you may have noticed a lot of the Japanese martial arts have this do at the end, whether it's judo or aikido or, I know this is Korean, but taekwondo or hapkido. And do at the end there means the way of. Right, so for example, Bruce Lee's martial art, Jeet Kune Do, the way of the intercepting fist. The way means that you're using this training practice not just as learning how to fight, but as a way to develop the self, as a way to Bushido it's spelled like Bushido, and it's a concept that means kind of the philosophy aspect of being a samurai. That you're a good person. Number four, and this goes with the same thing. It's like these people weren't brawlers necessarily. They were trained warriors. They were polite. They would hold the door for someone. They were people of high character. I'm just kind of combining all these courageous, good people that actually practiced the behavior of an integrity, politeness and propriety. They treated people with respect, but they demanded that back. Number five, a high value on things like honesty and being sincere, being authentic, being who you really are, not being who you think other people would like you to be in the current moment, which is always going to be shifting. Again, this idea, do you have like a backbone of steel or a spaghetti spine? Number six, honor, caring about where you're from, caring about the people that have sacrificed to get you where you are, caring about what's coming after you, honoring it, being someone that other people are proud of and that you yourself are proud of, and working towards that. Again, these are the virtues of a warrior. Number seven, loyalty. It's like we're not in this life by ourselves. We have certain people on our team that have actually put into our development, caring about that, not letting down people that didn't let you down. Okay, so this is the seven. These seven initial virtues of a warrior. Rectitude, courage, benevolence, politeness / propriety, honesty / sincerity, honor, loyalty. Then the next thing, 5 keys to health. Okay, so virtues are like kind of at this higher level of, proper conduct. Now, actually, when we get to proper health, 5 keys to health, according to the samurai, rational nutrition, right? This is meaning like eating foods that are going to make you strong and vital, but it's also not being crazy on crazy fringe diets. It's not saying extreme nutrition, it's saying rational nutrition. You know, you sitting down and making a plan. Sensible exercise. Again, now, of course, for a samurai, their level of exercise would be much more extreme than the average person. But, you know, it's like, it's about if you wanted to change your life and get in better shape, it's about chipping away towards a long-term goal. It's not about burning yourself out super hard, going way harder than you can tomorrow, and then quitting. It's about a sensible, progressive, intermittent, step-by-step approach to physical development. Number 3, efficient rest, high quality sleep, high quality relaxation. I'm going to do a whole other thing on the importance of sleep soon because it's a huge performance enhancer and also a performance hinderer when it's not being done correctly. Number 4, proper hygiene. Now remember, this is coming from the samurai days. Things like proper hygiene were so important, stopping spreads of things like infection, keeping clean, you know, proper hygiene. So like, again, parasitic deaths were a much more common thing. So this idea of getting injured in combat and then, you know, having an unclean wound actually was a cause of a lot of death. So proper hygiene, and proper hygiene obviously is also highly relevant in 2020. For reasons that are obvious considering the kind of medical COVID stuff. Okay, number 5, having a positive attitude. Now it's interesting that this is listed. I wanted to kind of highlight this. It's interesting that positive attitude is listed under keys to health and not under virtues. It's actually being presented as that's actually key to. Well, it's interesting because even the samurais are talking about health as a much more holistic thing. Nutrition, exercise, rest, hygiene, and attitude. That's awesome. Okay, so 7, 5. And then the last 3, these ideas of a state of mind. How should you be walking around engaging your reality? They say number 1, this idea of Zanshin. Okay, so these are I'll just put them all up here so you can see it nice if you're watching the video. Okay, so these are all gonna be obviously, so samurai is, this is an image actually created by a group of guys called the Valentine Brothers, who are Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu guys, I believe. And the fact that they're Jiu-Jitsu guys using samurai philosophy makes complete sense because, well, the samurai, you know, once they dropped their swords and they were hand-to-hand combat, you know, fast forward hundreds of years to today, basically you know, you can make an argument that it was the building blocks of what we now call jiu-jitsu. So anyways, the link between the samurai and jiu-jitsu is definitely an interesting one. But the Japanese samurai had this idea of these 3 states of mind, Zanshin, or this idea of being in this alert state of awareness. You know, I liked, I think I just seen somebody with a shirt not too long ago that said like alert, not panicked. And it's like perfect. That's exactly kind of my philosophy, is like, as soon as you go panicked, you know, your amygdala, we talk all the time about in other videos about the amygdala hijacking, your emotional center basically hijacking your prefrontal cortex, basically the part of your brain that makes the better choices. When you're panicked, you're making bad choices. When you're alert, that's a completely different state of kind of psychological, emotional, spiritual, physical being. Number 2, Mushin, or having a clear mind. You know, that's harder today than almost ever, right? We're living in a society where you're being bombarded with nonsense constantly. Understanding what the signal is with all that interrupting, confusing, intentionally misleading noise. Mushin, clear mind. And then the last one, Furushin, having an emotional balance. Again, I'm not saying any of this is easy, but being able to have, you know, in psychology and current literature, we tend to call it self-regulation, but more than that, not buying into the emotional pressure of others, not buying into the emotional seduction of things like having people like you, or having views, or having, people support your opinion. Not that that's not nice, but to start having certain opinions so that it gets that support, and then being tied to that. And it's like the opposite of some of this stuff. The idea here is having, well, we started this by saying rectitude. That's an awesome old school word that basically includes all this. Like, are you a person of integrity? And how do we work towards that? In the psychology, I'll end with this point. In the psychology class that I teach, I always talk about how Erik Erikson, a famous psychoanalyst, a student of Freud, one of Freud's daughter Anna's best friends, actually started going to therapy himself, got so much value out of it that he actually became a psychoanalyst, and then kind of became, oftentimes I'm kind of rambling here, but oftentimes in the developmental psych course, you'll talk about Freud and you'll talk about Erikson. And you'll hear, Erikson already if you've heard of things like trust issues and identity crisis and stuff like that. He talked about what he called how our psychology and our social world develops together. Right? But the reason I'm saying all this is because his point was that when we're at the end of life and we sit and we think back over our life, the most important psychological variable at that stage is, can we look at the life we've lived with integrity? Did you have rectitude? I love you guys. Cheers. I hope that was cool. 753. Download that image. I think it captures that entire philosophy, the virtues of rectitude, courage, benevolence, politeness, and propriety, honesty, sincerity, authenticity, honor, loyalty, nutrition, exercise, rest, hygiene, attitude, alertness, awareness, situational awareness, clear mind, emotional balance. I love you guys. I hope you thought this was kind of cool. I know this is a little different than some of the other video reactions, but my email is mainz81, mainz81 @gmail. If you like these and you want me to, look at a specific topic or something, shoot me an email and I'll get back to you. Take care and keep your stick on the ice. Cheers.